This 153rd day of Ukraine Resistance Media Center, Ukraine Ukrinform is working. My name is Vasil Smakvalov, and we start our day from the conversation of what is helping Ukraine to win this war, about volunteer movement. And I invite Ihor Klyuchnyk, actor, stage director, and volunteer and founder of RescueNOW, and Vital Bandura, co-founder and volunteer of RescueNOW, volunteer movement. Please, the floor is yours, and tell us in detail about your organization. Good day, everyone. Thank you for inviting us. I want to tell you the story about three dreamers, but systemic dreamers. As all the stories, it's about a naive story, but as it happens with dreamers pretty often. So, I will start that this story is a story of mine as well. On the 23rd of February, I was an actor. We were preparing some items to be sent for performances in Kiev. At that moment, I was just an actor, a director, a teacher, director, an entrepreneur, a culture manager. And in this picture, we represent the first Ukrainian Costa Rican theater festival. And this, in this life, new life, some month after, in military life, where we are at Saltivka, district of Kharkiv, where almost 200,000 people lived. And now that that part of city is destroyed completely. Those three guys in a picture, in normal life, nothing binds them, nothing unites them. One of them was an actor. The other, on 23rd of February, found and launched this startup. And our third partner was in restaurant business. And all three of us were bound by one thing, that is our approach to work, entrepreneur approach. And that approach allowed us to gather 200 great people whose energy helped create something incredible. That approach helped us create non-traditional charity foundation. The project with efficient processes. With help to that approach, we could solve any issues that we faced, with thanks to methods that we used. That's digitalization, creative tools, that's speed and flexibility of our decisions. Those 200 people, they could build in the Charity Foundation almost an IT company with contemporary processes, with digital tools, and with thanks to that, we could evacuate over 14,500 people from Luhansk, Donetsk, and Kharkiv regions. Those are the places where the public transportation doesn't work, and sometimes no transport works at all. 650 people are inclusive peoples. There are elderly peoples. There are people that are not able to move on their own. And for this evacuation, we need specialized transport. We need a different approach completely. Also, we found free shelter for almost 600 people. At the times where, regretfully, it's difficult even to rent an apartment for money. And we delivered almost 65,000 of food sets for people that could not, for certain reasons, could not evacuate from the hotspots, and we respect their choice. And for them, we deliver food and meds and hygiene sets. And for them, we created this online Patronet platform where each person from each spot of the world, they can, in 2 clicks, can subscribe or donate with one payment for elderly person, for grandma or grandpa, and we will deliver on a weekly basis that product sets. And we passed international independent audit of international foundations, and we really appreciate their help and support and their trust. And we're really proud of that, because there's 150 days of existing of our charity foundation. And also our mission is to care about people that were forced to abandon their homes, that faced these circumstances where they had no work, no shelter, and we want to give them help and return dignity to them. And this became our new value for our team. And right now, we're in the process of creating the educational project that's a volunteer incubator. Volunteer incubator for volunteers of our foundation and volunteers that join our foundation, where they'll be able to receive new skills, hard skills, soft skills, manager skills, experience in working project groups, and implementation of their own ideas that could help more people in the field where right now our foundation operates. Further on, we have a lot of work ahead, because the eastern region where work is a very difficult region. And as we say, even though 153rd day, 53rd of February, it's very hot, but we're expecting a cold winter, and we're preparing for winter. And right now we're looking for generators, for blankets, warm clothes, and that list is very, very long. And our small story is being written, and we as dreamers and entrepreneurs, we set ambitious goals to make our foundation international. Yes, we want to open representation in the office in the United States, to involve more funds to support Ukrainians that need it, because right now some grant agreements, approval of budgets for some grant agreements, it can last for 4 months. That, as we think, is not acceptable in conditions of war. Therefore, we're looking for partners, businesses, donors, and superheroes that could help us in this. And to the final of this story is a long way ahead, but we clearly know that the final of this story will be victorious. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. If somebody has questions, please raise their hands, and I will ask the first question. Please tell me, I know that volunteer movement over these days had several stages. There was an urgent situation when just grabbed and evacuated, and then there was a situation when you need to focus with inclusive people. Then the different situation. What is in status right now? What are the main tasks? What are the main goals? I can start. I think actually we as young charity foundation and a volunteer foundation, we started as all from chaos, because that chaos devoured, and the start of war devoured all of it. Everybody did what they could, and our foundation, our movement, was found because one of our partners, Misha, who was driving his car, and he started evacuating people. That's what he started doing, and that formed our main focus. Right now, the status that we observe right now from volunteer organizations from the region where we operate, one of the biggest issues that we face is firstly the financing of activity of volunteer organizations, because right now the interest in Ukraine and abroad decreases a bit, and those organizations, they could not make to establish some systematic processes, to establish some reports for donors and for people who donate and support financially that activity. I think that's the most important that we face.
You mentioned that you're going to be outreaching to the United States. I was wondering if you could talk about that strategy a little bit, and how do you establish legitimacy? Because a big problem that we have in the U.S. is separating what's real and what's not. And a lot of people don't know how to direct their funds based on that. So how would you approach that?
І може відповідати українською?
Так, можете будь-якою, як зручніше.
I'll answer in Ukrainian. If I understand your question properly, that you're asking how we will ensure the transparency of money transfer to actual aid, right? So I'll answer that over that time, we could build a system that allows us to report to international foundations, big foundations like UNICEF, for instance. And the standards of reporting are quite high. Therefore, we know what it's about. We know how to transform money into aid and how to actually demonstrate our donors that we do have all the necessary reports and photos and statistics on what we did. The only thing I could add to that, as like you said in the presentation, we actually passed the international audit, and for many foundations that we work with right now, we received their support and their trust, and each one is welcome to see our website and look at our reports. It's very transparent for any person at any time on any transaction that we received and that we spent from our foundation. More questions? Well, until Ukrinform, so how much money Ukrainians and foreigners donated to people who are saving themselves from a war? To our foundation, yes. That's roughly $25 million. You heard of it? Yeah. A few more questions. From what regions do people ask you for help, and what kind of help they need? We operate mostly in the east. That's Donbass and Kharkiv region. And just like we told in the presentation, there's humanitarian aid that includes food, medicine, and hygiene items, evacuation of people who are handicapped, and evacuating people who are in from the spots where the transportation does not work, and looking for shelter for them, finding shelter for them. It's more for people who do not want to evacuate because they have no place to live, and that's our response. That okay, well, we'll find you shelter. Just let's evacuate. So that's the list. And a brief question I have. Do you plan to expand the activity of the foundation, maybe implement some tools on the top that you will reformat into international foundation? We plan to grow on the expense of cooperation, collaboration. We're very open to that and would like to cooperate with our other foundation, volunteer organizations that are in different parts of Ukraine. Also, not only Ukraine, but we have that planned, yes. I have one more question. So you spoke about business procedures, and for many it's not really clear what is volunteer organizations and how they work, how they operate. Can you tell in more detail how does it work from within? You have call center that receives calls, you have project office, you have people who are responsible for transport, people who are responsible for looking for finance, and what is the path of the application if I need some aid? How it works? I'll try to briefly, in a nutshell, explain that, how that operates now in our foundation. Right now, in our foundation, there are 9 departments, and they are governed by curators. It's communications department, care department, as we call it. Because since the first days of our activity, we took the biggest value, that's care for people. That's we evacuate. Because many people, since the start of the war, they did not believe, actually, that they could call, and we would not only evacuate them, but we'll find them shelter. We will feed them, and we'll do that with care. And also, it's a care about people who work in the team. Also, that's Department of Humanitarian Department or Procurement Department that deals with looking for foodstuffs, meds, that's storage, people who operate in the storage. It's a fundraising department, finance department, juridical department, as we said, for audit, to pass the audits and to pass, in a good sense, bureaucratic procedures, special bureaucratic procedures, because our next goal, additional goal, extra credit goal, is to make a foundation who have two energies. This bureaucratic, or will be able to report and do everything very, very transparent, and creative energy that people brought to us who joined our foundation. That's a hub that's located in Kharkiv, and people who operate there and help. So it's 9 departments that operate and cooperate. And the application comes to hotline. The call comes to hotline. Operator receives it and processes that call. If it's for evacuation, then it's delivered to radists, and they find out where the person is, how to get the person to make it safe. If it's for an application for humanitarian aid, they goes to humanitarian aid department, and they process the applications and find the details about it. Because right now we face many people that start, stocking the foodstuffs for winter. Maybe this babushka got 20 liters of oil and she keeps it for the winter. We understand the reasoning of the babushka as well, but it's very difficult to separate those people from people who actually need help right now and that cannot help themselves, and those who are receiving their retirement policy money and can go to the market and buy something. Therefore, moving to a format of patronage that we talk about in digital format. It's patronage of people that we actually are sure that they could help themselves. And then that application moves to the logistics department that builds routes, logistic routes, and they are included in the route lists for hubs that gather those packs, food packs, and assign numbers, and volunteers that work and deliver that food. They take the packs and take the logistics lists and deliver. That's just one of the processes I explained, from farm to fork, so to speak, how that works. Thank you very much. If there is no questions, Ihor Klyuchnyk was with us, the AXR director and founder of RescueNOW Volunteer Foundation, and Vitaly Bandura, co-founder. You're both our co-founders. Three, yes, and a volunteer. RescueNOW. Thank you very much, and see you in the next briefing at 2:00. We'll speak with Ihor Klyuchnyk, press officer of Air Force of Ukraine.